Welcome to a candidate forum featuring candidates for Folsom City Council. I'm Paula Lee, a member of the League of Women Voters of Sacramento County, and I'll be moderator for today's forum. This forum is co-sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Sacramento County and the Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Commission. The forum is being viewed live by an audience in Sacramento County Board of Supervisors chambers and by a live cable television audience at home. It's also being taped for rebroadcast on Metro Cable Channel 14. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan nonprofit organization of men and women established to promote political responsibility through the active and educated participation in government. The League does not support, oppose, or evaluate political parties or candidates. And although our nonpartisanship policy does not permit us to endorse candidates or parties, we do, after careful study, take positions on political issues like ballot measures. The format for today's forum will be as follows. Each candidate will make a 1.5-minute opening statement. Next, the candidates will respond to questions from our expert media panel. The questions were submitted by panelists and reviewed by League members. Each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to each question, and then finally, candidates will have 1 minute for a closing statement. Now I would like to introduce the candidates who are running for Folsom City Council. Welcome, candidates.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jeff Starsky, Ernie Sheldon, and Roger Gaylord. Thank you so much for participating today. Sitting on our expert media panel is Don Chaddock from the Folsom Telegraph and Jared Goyette from the Sacramento Press. Thank you for participating. So now we're ready to begin, and we drew for speaking order, and we begin with an opening statement from Jeff Starsky.
Thank you, Paula. Good afternoon, everyone. Paula, first let me say on behalf of myself, I want to thank you and the League of Women Voters for hosting this candidate forum. You perform a very, very important function for the community, so thank you very much, and the panelists, thank you for your time on this. My name is Jeff Starsky. I'm running for City Council for my 4th time. I've served the residents for the past 12 years as both your council member and mayor, and it's been my honor to represent you on the City Council. One of the things that we have in the city of Folsom is a very unique, very, very special place to all of us. In spite of what has been probably the most difficult economic time that city has faced since the Great Depression, this city has weathered it and weathered it well. Me and my colleagues on the City Council have worked hard to make sure Folsom stays financially viable. In spite of this biggest downturn, economic downturn in our city's history, we have maintained jobs, we have maintained retailers, we've maintained businesses, and we've maintained the quality of life in the city of Folsom. Our unemployment rate is the lowest of any city in the region. We're proud of what we've done in the city of Folsom. I'm particularly proud of the effort I've done working with my colleagues very closely to make Folsom a wonderful place to raise your family and to work and play. And if elected, I'll continue to do that for another 4 years. Thank you.
Ernie Sheldon.
Again, thanks to the League of Women Voters for the opportunity today. I am Ernie Sheldon. I've lived in Folsom for 27 years. I've been in community activist in that town for 26 of that 27. 20 years as a park commissioner, 4 years in the city council, a year and a half as a planning commissioner, and a year and a half as a library commissioner. I served at 33 years as an active duty in the Air Force. I retired as a lieutenant colonel. I served 12 years enlisted, enjoyed every day, and 21 as an officer, and likewise enjoyed every day. I have a bachelor's degree in business and a master's degree in management from the University of Nebraska. I've been a widow for 20 years, and I've compensated that loss by doing city service. I've been honored by the city of Folsom with having a park named after me, Ernie Sheldon Sports Complex at Natoma Station. And also in 2001, I was granted the award of Outstanding California Park Commissioner for 2001. As Jeff just said, we have a great town. I expect to keep it better, or keep it the same, or make it better. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And an opening statement from Roger Gaylord.
Thank you. I'd also like to thank the League of Women Voters for having us, as well as Dawn and Jared. And I'd also like to thank my challengers over here as well for kind of showing me the ropes. I'm a Folsom resident, and I have been for about 18 years, and I felt I needed to stand up and get involved. Folsom is a great place to live. However, Folsom is facing a deficit. Some of our leaders say Folsom has a revenue issue. I really think it's more of a spending issue. Several choices made by our current leadership has put Folsom in the red, and we're looking at another deficit for 2012. Folsom spending habits have depleted our reserve fund from $16 million to about $3 million in the matter of about 5 years. I'd like to change this pattern, and doing so by eliminating some of the waste that's happening. My goal as your council member is not to increase any user fees, or try not to. We're currently seeing that with Parks and Recs, the water rates, as well as first responder fees. My goal as your council member would be to reinvest in PD. We had 4 in the new budget, 4 officer positions laid off, not laid off, but cut, axed from the budget. I don't think this is a time to eliminate anything from any of our services from fire. My goal is to create more transparency and interaction with the residents by utilizing new programs like hosting council meetings online via social media and new interaction. I will my goal is to create a citizens action committee to make up of residents who volunteer for Folsom, such as Linda Conroy with the Folsom Fire Safe Council. A lot of these people are engaging in Folsom, and they're great assets, and I think we need to bring them together. And yeah, thank you.
All right, and now we'll move to questions from our media panel. We'll begin with Don Shattuck. Could you direct your first question to Ernie Sheldon?
Thank you. Ernie, critics charge the south of Highway 50 annexation as an expensive endeavor, and oversight controls aren't in place to ensure the costs are not borne by current residents. What is the vision for this area and to ensure the costs are borne by developers and future residents?
Well, I think I'm qualified to talk to that because I was in the major growth of Folsom. I was a park commissioner. I had to fight for every park we built because we didn't have the resources. So what I say south of 50, it's going to be done fairly. We're going to not repeat the mistakes we made in the first 15 years that I was in Folsom. The cost is, we are looking at costs. Water is one cost that we cannot afford to not pay attention to and create that cost to the new people coming. We are now going to get into the specific developer agreements, and when that comes, we'll know exactly how we're going to do it, but we're not going to give away anything south of 50, I can assure you that.
Roger Gaylord?
With the south of 50, I think my issue with this, and a lot of people I speak to out and about in Folsom, is that there's not any transparency as far as what's going to be done, how it's going to be done, how it's going to affect the residents. There's obviously there's council meetings, but we really don't know. As a resident myself of Folsom, I don't know. I have no idea. There's a lot of talk, a lot of chatter. We're told that it's not going to affect us, yet our water rates are raising or increased. First responder fees are increased. Have there been plans enacted for PD, fire? That's kind of a lot of my issues as well as what I hear out and about. So south of 50, I think it's a big question mark. What is it?
And Jeff Starsky?
Thank you. Well, Don, south of Highway 50, first of all, every expense that was incurred by the city has been reimbursed by all of the landowners. So the city has incurred no expense in annexing that property to the city. Going forward, developers, as with all of these developments, will bear the burden of the costs to develop that. The water was their responsibility. They secured an independent water supply. We'll also make sure that all of the infrastructure is going to be paid for by development, as we have with the other developments that we've done in the city. Mr. Gaylor is completely wrong. The city of Folsom residents basically planned that. Because he wasn't involved doesn't mean it didn't happen. Residents, we held numerous meetings, probably 40 separate meetings, where the members of the public came and actually designed what was going to be going forward in Highway 50, south of Highway 50. We adopted that into the general plan, and we will adopt the residents' needs into the specific plan that will ultimately be developed there. But yeah, the residents north of the freeway will not bear any burden of the cost south of Highway 50. The folks down in that area will be bearing the cost, just as all of us have that have moved into homes within our own developments.
Okay, next question. Jarrett Goyette, could you direct it to Roger Gaylord?
Roger, this concerns the budget. In the past, Folsom has dipped into its reserves. To balance its budget, those reserves are now depleted. And as I think was you already mentioned, the city is facing another deficit this year. I would like to know what will be your budget priorities. Where will you look for revenue? Where will you look for cuts? And to what degree do you think salary reform or reductions should be part of the equation?
Thank you. I think that's the major part of the equation is what are we spending and how are we spending it? I don't think, as I said before, I don't think it's a revenue issue because, property tax is down, however, sales tax is up. So where are we spending the money? I think, given the budget on it, we're taking in, I think, around $64 million. We're scheduled to spend $65 million. So there's cuts that need to be made. I think the bottom line is there's an upper tier, and everyone in the city works hard. I benefit from city employees. Everyone in Folsom benefits, but there's an upper tier that make more than I don't know if they should be. I'll give an example. There's about 120 city employees that make over $100,000 a year. Some of them have car and tech perks, yet we're laying off employees and we're decreasing services such as police layoffs and stuff like that. I think we need to be looking at the major picture and find out what can be saved and what can be deleted.
Jeff Starsky?
Thank you. First, Jared, let me get the facts straight for you. That's not correct. The city of Folsom currently sits on revenue funds. Its entire portfolio is about $190 million in revenue. 20 of that is unrestricted fund balance. So to say that there's a problem is not correct. You also mischaracterized the general fund rainy day fund. We had that, when I first got elected in 2000, that fund was $2 million. When we, as a city council, saw the economy booming as we had, we built that to about $15 million for exactly this reason, because everybody knew when there's an up, there's a down. So we built that fund. The reason we put that money in that fund and the reason we drew it down in this recession is to keep open our library, our parks, our zoo, all of those amenities that every other city is closing. So for you to say that the city has a problem is not necessarily true. In fact, the last budget analysis that was just finished yesterday shows the city finished the last fiscal year in the black. We even added to our rainy day fund, as a matter of fact. So we've faced budgets for the last 4 years and budget problems, and that has not been a problem. We've continued to make the cuts necessary that need to be made, and we'll do it again, but we're seeing revenue beginning to rise. We're seeing a much brighter future than some people might lead you to believe.
Thank you. And Ernie Sheldon?
Well, anyone that watched TV on the council knows that I'm an outspoken advocate of that we do not have a revenue problem. As Roger said, we have a spending problem. We have to get our priorities in line. We have compensation. The council has made tremendous, and the staff have made tremendous gains on benefits, but we haven't got nowhere near compensation reform, and we need to do that. So I will be a real outspoken advocate again that we live in our means. No, we have balanced our budget. The 4 years I walked onto that council, we have balanced the budget, but we did it by using our reserves and laying off people, and that's unacceptable. I'm not going to continue to do that. And so I will be a very outspoken, as I have in the past, that we look at everything that we do and we look at what we're doing and what we're spending on, and that we start to live within our means, because we have not done that.
And Don Chaddock from the Folsom Telegraph, your next question for Jeff Starsky.
Jeff, with the removal of the affordable housing ordinance and the resulting lawsuit, what is your strategy to fulfill the needs of affordable housing requirements for Folsom?
Okay, that's really quite an easy one. The city of Folsom is probably one of the few cities that have actually put affordable housing units on the ground. What the city of Folsom did was it removed a restriction, this inclusionary zoning restriction, which is simply not practical. It hasn't worked anywhere in the state. Everyone acknowledges it except for this small fringe element. The city of Folsom has continued to develop rental housing as a solution to this problem. We've built more units than any other city in the region to meet that need. We'll continue to approach it from that perspective, and we'll have that same obligation imposed on anything that we annex south of Highway 50. So that is, for me, that elimination of that one methodology is not going to be the end. The law requires and allows you to use multiple strategies. The city has adopted multiple strategies in how it will deal with the affordable housing issue. And the last note, we did have a judge that completely ignored the law when he made his ruling, so that will be remedied on appeal.
Ernie Sheldon?
Well, I agree with Jeff. When I came on this council, my position was I wanted people in homes, not just numbers on a board that says you got that many zonings, you can have that many houses. I want people occupying the homes. We've done that. Folsom has stepped up and done that. We suffered a big loss, like many other agencies, when they took away redevelopment, because we did use some of that trust fund to do that. We lost that. So we are in a process of reevaluating how do we do it. But the attitude of this council, since I've been on it, probably before I got there, we want people to have affordable housing. And as the people argue with us, the old saying is we had a 15% ratio in there. 15% of nothing is nothing. If nobody builds, you get nothing. So that 15% was stopping building, and we took care of it and got rid of it, but we haven't got rid of our attitude on affordable housing. We still want affordable housing for our people, and we will figure out how to do it.
Roger Gaylord?
I think I have more questions than anything. I think being, in Folsom, growing up in Folsom, I went to Theodore Judah. I've been to the Folsom High School, and I've seen myself with friends and some family that, they do take effect, and they are in some low-income housing and such. And I think my question would be to the current council and to, I think others are asking this, is is South of 50 development going to include this type of low-income housing? Because at this point, when I look at Folsom, and from what I've seen, most of the lower income housing is in the older side of Folsom. It's all kind of huddled around the historic side, and it's not on the other side by Palladio and East Bidwell and such as like that. So that's my question. Where is it going to go? Is it going to be spread across, and we're not secluding one section of Folsom to just low income, and then the rest is thriving, if you would?
All right. And the next question, Jared, you can direct to Ernie Sheldon.
Ernie, this is a related question to the one we just addressed. Is there a particular segment of your city, be it an area or a segment of the population, that is currently underserved? If so, what services or facilities would you support to improve the situation?
Well, my attitude on this council is that everybody in Folsom, all 70,000 plus, they all require equal service. We do not have any target area that we're underserved them. We just don't have, that's not the attitude of the council. It's never been that attitude. So I don't think we have anybody underserved at the cost of somebody else. It's not the case. If it is, all they need to do is call us and we take care of it. I constantly get phone calls on light is not working, a plumbing's not working, a road's got a problem, and I get the people to fix it. So no, we have nobody underserved as I understand in the city of Folsom. Now, if they are, they're all underserved. We don't pick one segment. We don't say Old Town is deprived and Lexington is better and so forth. That's not our attitude. It's never been. We don't have districts. The whole district is all Folsom, 70,000 plus. That's our district. And that's how we attack it from the council level.
And Roger Gaylord?
Thank you. I think my answer to that question is the history of Folsom is underserved. I really don't think our leaders play very well with the history, such as the Historical Society and Sutter Street. And I know my generation and the median age of Folsom is about 38. Anyone going inside of Folsom to go to Sutter Street is usually going there for bars, not for history. I think we are underserved with that. I don't think we play that well. I also think the youth, the younger generation, I don't think there's any active involvement with the youth of Folsom. And when I say youth, I mean coming straight out of high school from senior, into I think there's no understanding of how the city works. I don't think at the end of the day they're going to be past this city and become the leaders, and there's no involvement, and that scares me. So I do think that is underserved at this point.
And Jeff Starsky.
Yeah, it's a great question, and I tend to agree with Ernie Sheldon and disagree with Mr. Gaylord because the youth community is a high priority, and Mr. Sheldon, to his great credit, has had a lot to do with that. He is a champion for youth in the city of Folsom. I also believe that our goal is not to underserve anyone, but your question is very, very insightful in this regard. the state of California, the threats that it's making to local governments, and particularly cities, with the money that it's taking from cities and not backfilling, is going to ultimately come and bite cities with its seniors. And that's my biggest fear, because there are many programs in the city of Folsom we use, for instance, where seniors living in homes that have a furnace go out and they can't afford to replace it. There are programs within the city that allow us to use funding to help do that. The state's taking that money. It's going to be very, very problematic for seniors. I think in the future, that may be an area that's underserved. We need to figure out how the state, instead of just simply grabbing money, needs to realize where they're taking the money from.
All right, and Don Chaddock, you can direct your next question to Roger Gaylord.
Roger, with the state doing away with redevelopment agencies, how would you propose to revitalize the central business district without state funds?
I mean, Folsom is known for its history. If you Google Folsom, it's, Johnny Cash and Folsom Prison, and the actual, the meat and potatoes of Folsom is its history. So I think redeveloping or getting the developers now, I mean, development is crucial, but if you look at the Folsom Historical Museum and Society, there's not a lot of funding or donations or any kind of sponsorships from big developers in Folsom that benefit from its rich culture and the residents of Folsom. So I think actively engaging that aspect and trying to find outside funding, such as development or developers engaging in our history, would be a good avenue. And I also think Citizens Action Committee on leaders in the community that have different knowledge in different verticals come together and we hash something out. And by doing so, creating a program and creating ideas to maintain the quality as well as maintain the rich culture and history of that district. So,
Jeff Starsky?
Thank you. Yeah, that's a great question, Don. That the elimination of redevelopment agencies did serious damage to our ability to deal with blight in cities, which is unfortunate because of a few bad eggs. The state really took away a tool that cities use to help develop cities. The Central Business District is a very, very important next step. As you recall, the City Council invested $10 million to revitalize the old town, the downtown, and it worked out wonderfully. Our next goal was the Central Business District. With the state's actions, the only thing you're going to have left, the only way you're going to accomplish it going forward is going to be public-private partnerships. It will have to be locating an infill-type developer who's experienced, and then we have to specifically plan it. The difficulty will be the diversity of land ownership within there. A lot of the owners of these shopping centers are out of state. They're difficult to deal with, so we're going to have some real tough time marshaling. But I think with public-private partnerships, it's going to be the only way going forward we're going to be able to deal with blight in the state of California. And again, that is an unfortunate result of the state eliminating redevelopment agencies. We need to find a solution around that. And as far as I know, public-private partnerships is the only way to do it.
And Ernie Sheldon?
Well, I had an issue with Senator Gaines, who voted against to vote to take away redevelopment. I had that at a chamber luncheon. And my purpose was you can't penalize the cities that done good. We did good. We built a parking garage, we built a library, we revitalized Sutter, as Jeff has said. We've done good. We have not wasted a penny of that redevelopment, and we built homes. So, but we took the hit just like everybody else. The Central Business District needs some updating. Some of the things have so many vacancies. But keep in mind, there's a lot of good businesses going on in our Central Business District. They are functioning and they are occupied. You go down to some of these shopping centers, they're completely full. Others are not so much. So as Jeff said, we have got to keep working. Partnerships are the only ones going to get this done. Okay, and we're going to have to be really smart as a council to get it done.
Okay. And I think this might be the last question, unless you have more, you can let me know. But Jared, if you'll direct your next question to Jeff Starsky.
Jeff, I'm going to take a step back for a second and just ask the differences question. And I want to know how you think your vision for the city is different from that of the other candidates, and why voters should pick you.
Okay, great question. Thanks. I think the difference for me is I have this fundamental philosophy that if you can get businesses to grow and come to your city, you raise revenue, and revenue solves all of these problems that we all face. And my objective has been to recruit employers, recruit businesses to come to Folsom, and we've done a very effective job in that. And so in the future, what I intend to do in an effort to recession-proof our city is we need to recruit one more major employer. We have Intel, we have the state prison, we have a lot of the defense industry located in the city of Folsom, defense contractors in the city of Folsom that most people don't know about. It's a great segment. The one area we're missing that will be my goal to attract is medical providers, medical provision providers, medical equipment providers. We have the land that we can recruit a major business to come here, and that is an area that will be recession-proof going forward, is medical equipment suppliers. And if we can provide that, when Kaiser moves with their new hospital in the city of Folsom, those two combined should recession-proof our city, and that's the difference. Is I have the vision, the experience, and the leadership to do that.
Ernie Sheldon?
Well, I'm not sure I disagree with the candidates on what theirs, but let me tell you my position on the division of the Folsom. You make Folsom the place that everybody wants to come to, and they are coming to us. And why are they coming? They're coming because we have great schools, great parks, great trails, churches, nonprofits. We got everything great going for us. Why would a business not want to come to us? Because everything their employees want, we have. The amenities are there. We don't have to go out and beg somebody to come to us. They will come to us once they know we have this. Okay? Our thing through our tourism and some of our chamber efforts, we're going to get the message across. But Folsom is a great place to come. You see it every day. I run into people from the Bay Area. They love it. People have been here. Folsom's great, and we're going to keep it the same way. And that's how, okay, that's how we're going to bring businesses and stimulate our economy, by having the kind of community we do have. We just got to protect it.
Roger Gaylord?
I think what I bring is a new look and a fresh face into the equation. I don't agree with career council members, if you would, the term. I think, you know, the president doesn't even get more than 2 terms, so someone going for 3 or 4 terms is just unacceptable. I think it creates a stagnant environment. So, you know, yeah, the leadership has done a lot of good for Folsom. I enjoy Folsom. My family does. My friends do. But we need to diversify ourselves and inject new outlooks and new business models and new ideas. If we're relying on one big business to come into Folsom, like Waste Management that leaves Folsom because of California's climate, it doesn't work like that. You need to be prepared. Wasteful spending needs to stop, and that's where, you know, I differ. I think, yes, we need to attract businesses, and that's a great model Jeff had, you know, attract medical sales or whatever it is, but you need to be on top of more than just one, because once that business picks up and leaves, where is Folsom? That's how I differ.
Okay, we have time for one more question. If you can give succinct answers from Don Shattuck, and you can direct your first question to, Ernie Sheldon.
Ernie, what do you see as the biggest challenge facing Folsom?
There's no question in my mind. It's financial stability and sound judgment on how we raise and spend our money. Be no question. Everybody tells me, oh, we're not Stockton, we're not this, we're not. If we don't pay attention, we'll be another Stockton. Okay, so we have to be very smart. And I think we've been pretty smart this last 4 years. This has been one heck of a time. We've never, in Folsom, and I've been there 27 years, never faced what we faced this last 4 years. And we weathered it. But that is no question, stability. And when we do that, we're going to talk about compensation. We're going to talk about perks, okay? But we're going to talk it with partnership. The unions are going to help us, the employees are going to help us, and the council and staff is going to help us. And that's no question in my mind. Financial stability has to be #1 priority in this town.
Roger Gaylord?
I would certainly agree with Ernie Sheldon. I think, again, the wasteful spending factor, you know, we don't have we do, you know, we have to focus on generating revenue, but, you know, Folsom is pretty good as far as our small businesses and what they contribute and, you know, our sales and use tax. Compensation is a huge factor. I mean, if you take, for example, the governor of California, you know, he manages about 225,000 employees and he makes about $170K a year. Our city manager manages about 420 employees and, you know, makes about $200K a year. So we need to look and structure our finances and figure out what's doable, what's attainable, and what can we grow on and create a solid foundation so that we're not, you know, we could have all the businesses in the world and make all the money in the world, and it might solve your problems, but if we're spending that money, you know, and not reinvesting it and saving, then, you know, like any other business, it's gone. It's going down the hill, and again, we're not looking good if that happens, so.
Thank you. And Jeff Starsky.
Yeah, it's the biggest priority for the next year or so will be the budget issue, and it's for this reason. We see all of our private sector people in the city of Folsom, all of our businesses are really showing signs of improvement, and that's very positive. We have not seen that for 4 years. So the latest income tax or the property tax data is up. The latest, or we've seen the declines from Prop 8 are stopped. We've seen retail sales taxes growing better than projected, so that's very, very positive. We're seeing a lot of inquiries from business, so the future is very, very bright. The dilemma you have is this. In the private sector, while we may be growing out of it, the cities take about 2 years before they recover. So while we have all this wonderful things happening in the city of Folsom, it will take a year, 18 months before cities begin to feel that impact. And so for that next, while we've balanced the budget this year, we'll look at it. And again, Mr. Sheldon and I have done this for 4 years in the middle of what has been a financial mess. We had a budget hole in the first year. He and I got on, we had an $8 million budget hole. These will be nothing. We have the experience and the leadership to do that, to handle it.
Thank you. And now it's time to move to closing remarks. And we are reversing the order, so we'll begin with closing remarks from Jeff Starsky.
You're reversing the order?
Well, so that you're not the first and the last to speak.
Gotcha.
That's how we do it fairly.
Okay. Well, I will simply say this. Again, Folsom is a wonderful place. In spite of what some of the candidates will want to tell you and how bad things are and what a bad place it is not a bad place. It's a wonderful place to live. I spent 12 years, or actually 15 years, 3 on the Planning Commission and 12 years on the City Council, 2 as the mayor, making that happen and trying to accomplish that. And I think we've done a wonderful job with it. If elected, I'll do the same thing. The choice here is very simple. We can either move forward, keep the city moving in the direction it is with the experience and the leadership that I can provide, or you can try something new and shift gears in the middle of very, very difficult times. And that would be a dangerous proposition, ladies and gentlemen of Folsom. We are about to come out. We're ideally situated to take advantage of this next economic upturn, which we will be experiencing very shortly, and we are aligned perfectly to take advantage of it. With my leadership and my experience, we continue to accomplish that. I would ask for your vote on November 6th. Thank you very much.
And a closing statement from Ernie Sheldon.
Okay, again, thanks to the league for having this forum. Here's why I want you to vote again for me, okay? I've got a proven city record. I work hard. I have a passion for our city. I ask the hard questions, normally not politically correct. I do my homework, and when it comes to my personal needs versus the city needs, the city wins. I'm around town a lot. I'm a visionary, but also I'm practical. As a councilman, it's always answerable to the people that put them there. The candidates cannot be there for a stepping stone. They can't be there for a councilman is not a title; it's a job. It's not an ego trip, and it's not to make more money. It's a community service, pure and simple. We're there because the citizens sent us there to do their job that they want, and I sure would like you to vote again. Thank you.
And a closing statement from Roger Gaylord.
Contrary to Mr. Starsky's statement, I don't think Folsom is a bad place at all. I love Folsom. I've had the opportunity to move away from Folsom, and I stay and I keep my family here because of its schools. I volunteer as a coach for my son's teams, and I meet a whole broad spectrum of individuals who live in Folsom who love it as well. You can love Folsom, but you also don't need to be blind. I mean, if you don't raise questions to what's going on and the leadership isn't transparent, you end up with everything's going to be okay, it's going to change tomorrow, and we still see 3 years of deficit, or deficit years. Some will say that I'm too young or I don't know politics, but I say that's exactly right. I'm not a politician. I'm a resident of Folsom, and everyone starts somewhere. I believe we need a fresh face in Folsom's leadership, and I think it's time for some of the career council members to step down and let Folsom breathe fresh air. So I would graciously ask for your vote on November 6th for Folsom City Council.
Thank you, candidates. That concludes our forum, and on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Sacramento County and the Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Commission, I thank the candidates, Roger Gaylord, Jeff Starsky, and Ernie Sheldon. And thank you to the media panel, Jarrett Goyette from the Sacramento Press and Don Chaddock from the Folsom Telegraph. And thanks to all the volunteers from the League of Women Voters and Metro Cable that made the forum possible. Rebroadcast times for these forums can be found on the League of Women Voters Smart Voter website. And you can also find lots of good information about candidates and ballot issues on that site. It's www.smartvoter.org, or the League of Women Voters Sacramento County website, which is LWV, And the League welcomes both men and women as members, and it's where hands-on work to safeguard democracy leads to civic improvement. Now, don't forget to vote June 5th and help make our democracy work. Thank you.
November 6th, Paula.
November 6th. November 6th, thank you.
They can't vote.